Before we step into the storm, do me one small favor. If you love emotional stories that feel like movies playing in your mind, stories about second chances, quiet healing, and unexpected connections, tap like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. It genuinely helps this channel grow, and it lets me keep bringing you stories like this. The kind you don't just hear, you feel. And tell me something in the comments before we begin. Where are you listening from right now? Are you wrapped in a blanket in a silent room? Lying awake when you should be sleeping? On a long commute? Staring out the window? I read the comments. I imagine each of you out there listening. It makes these stories feel like we're sharing the same space. Okay, take a breath. Let's begin. By the time Maya turned off the engine, the blizzard had erased the world. Snow didn't fall, it attacked. Thick, sideways sheets of white slammed into the windshield, turning the forest into nothing but a shifting wall of pale chaos. The wind screamed through the pine trees, bending them, rattling branches together like bones. The cabin ahead looked less like a house and more like something surviving the storm by stubborn will alone. A dark shape crouched beneath the weight of winter. For a long moment, Maya didn't move. Her hands stayed locked around the steering wheel. Her knuckles were white. Her fingers trembled, not from the cold, not entirely, but from a deeper exhaustion that had been living inside her for months. She had driven 4 hours through worsening weather to get here. Not because she wanted a mountain getaway. Not because she needed fresh air. She came because she didn't know where else to go. At 35, Maya had built a life that looked flawless from the outside. Corner office. Vice president title. High-rise condo with floor-to-ceiling glass and a skyline view that had once made her feel like she owned the world. Then, in less than half a year, it all unraveled. A corporate merger. A restructuring. Her position eliminated. A relationship that had already been thinning snapped under the pressure. Savings drained faster than pride could admit. And beneath all of it, the quiet, terrifying realization that she had built a life that looked impressive, but didn't actually make her happy. Watching her cousin's son for a few days while Jenna worked extra shifts at the lodge wasn't just a favor. It was an escape. Or maybe hiding. She let out a shaky breath that fogged the inside of the car. Then she forced her fingers to unclench, opened the door, and stepped into air so cold it felt like it bit her lungs. The moment the door opened, warmth swallowed her. The air smelled like pine wood soup, and something sweet she couldn't place. The contrast between the howling storm outside and the glowing chaos inside was so sudden her eyes stung. Maya. 7-year-old Sam launched at her legs like a guided missile, nearly knocking her over. His hair stuck up in every direction, and he was talking before she could even shut the door. There's a space base in the living room and the red cape is missing and I think the cat took it, but Mom says cats don't want capes, and also I need you to be the engineer because engineers fix the shield generators. Maya blinked, then laughed. A real laugh. The kind she hadn't heard from herself in a while. Jenna rushed past in a swirl of winter gear, half-dressed, breathless. Soup's on the stove, bedtime is 8:30, if the internet dies the board games are in the chest, and there are extra blankets in the hallway closet. Maya, seriously, thank you. I owe you. Then she was gone, swallowed by wind and white. The heavy oak door shut. The deadbolt slid home. And the cabin went quiet. Not peaceful quiet. Heavy quiet. The kind where you suddenly hear your own thoughts too loudly. Maya set her bags aside, unopened, and let Sam pull her into his universe. They ate grilled cheese on the rug in front of the fireplace. Sam insisted the floor was the launch platform, and couches had been dismantled to form the walls of a command fortress. For an hour, Maya forgot her resume existed. She listened with complete seriousness as Sam explained which action figure had laser vision, and which one could control gravity, but only on Tuesdays. She held cardboard shields. She made dramatic sound effects. And something strange happened. The tightness in her chest loosened. She wasn't a failure. She wasn't unemployed. She wasn't someone whose 5-year plan had disintegrated. She was just Aunt Maya, engineer of cushion castles. Later, when Sam finally fell asleep, one arm flung over his head, mouth slightly open, she stood in his doorway longer than she meant to. His breathing was slow, steady, safe. A sharp ache rose in her chest. Not sadness. Hunger. For this kind of life. This kind of simplicity. A peace she had told herself she didn't have time for. The cabin creaked as the wind battered the walls. Logs popped in the fireplace. Maya stood at the kitchen counter, staring at her faint reflection in the dark window, when her phone buzzed. A known number. She almost ignored it. Then she saw the name. Silas. Jenna's neighbor down the ridge. The quiet one. The man she'd only ever seen from a distance, splitting wood, clearing snow, a steady presence in the background of mountain life. Jenna said she forgot to bring in the extra firewood. I'm nearby. Want me to leave a bundle at the door? It's dropping below zero tonight. It was practical. Neighborly. But in the loneliness of the storm, it felt like someone tossing her a lifeline. She replied yes. 15 minutes later, heavy knuckles thudded against the door. When she opened it, cold air burst in like an animal. Silas stood there, snow clinging to his coat and beard, an armful of birch logs against his chest. Didn't want you freezing if the furnace struggles, he said. Voice low and rough like gravel warmed by sun. Up close he wasn't intimidating like she'd assumed. Just solid. Grounded. Like someone who didn't rush for no reason. Thank you, she said. And meant it more than he knew. He didn't immediately leave. He lingered, the storm howling behind him. How are you holding up? He asked. Jenna said you've had a rough stretch. That polite question people ask without really wanting the answer. But something about the storm. The isolation. The honesty in his eyes. I feel heavy, she admitted. Like I've been swimming upstream for years, and I finally stopped kicking. He didn't give a motivational quote. Didn't rush to fix it. He just nodded. Sometimes floating is the bravest thing you can do. And somehow that landed. They sat at the kitchen table while the blizzard raged. Coffee steamed between them. Wind shook the windows. The world outside didn't exist. They talked. Not small talk. Real talk. The difference between being alone and being lonely. The strange grief of losing a life that looked perfect but didn't feel right. The relief and terror of starting over. Silas had once had a city career too. A fast one. High pay, constant motion. I kept waiting to feel like I'd arrived, he said. But every goalpost moved. Peace isn't something you find. It's something you build. When he left, the knot in Maya's stomach had loosened. You'll be okay, he said quietly. Even the worst winters end. For the first time in a year, she slept without dreaming about deadlines. Sunlight on snow is blinding. Maya woke confused, heart racing, until she smelled bacon. She walked into the kitchen and froze. Sam was at the table, feet swinging. And Silas stood at the stove, flipping pancakes like he'd always belonged there. Jenna called, he said with a half smile. Roads are closed. She asked if I could help. She should have felt awkward. She didn't. She felt relief. The kind that warms from the inside. They moved around each other easily in the small kitchen. Passing plates. Pouring juice. Setting forks. A quiet, natural rhythm. And something in her chest whispered. This is what you've been missing. Not status. Not prestige. Support. Shared weight. When Maya drove away later that day, the road looked different. Clearer. She wasn't carrying the same heaviness. Weeks turned into months. She kept coming back. Not just to help, but because something in her had started to wake up. She and Silas didn't rush. No dramatic declarations. No fireworks. Just shared meals. Long walks. Silence that didn't need filling. He learned the look she got when she spiraled into overthinking. She learned the quiet signals of his moods. They built something steady. Something real. The mountains softened. Snow melted. Streams ran again. The air smelled alive. One evening they sat on his porch railing, sunset painting the sky in gold and violet. Sam watched a movie inside. The world felt suspended. I used to think love was adrenaline, Maya said softly. Silas looked at her. And now? She took his rough, warm hand. Now I think it's this. Calm. Safe. Like coming home to a place inside yourself. The wind moved gently through the trees. Winter had ended. And so had something else. If this story stayed with you, if it felt familiar in places you didn't expect, don't forget to like and subscribe. More stories like this are waiting. And tell me, Do you believe people come into our lives at the exact moment we need them? I'll see you in the next one.